Hey everybody, Bill in Virginia. Welcome back. So still at the workbench, but I have started the build on the O-scale, be like an oak tree for the O-scale club that's in the basement of Caboose Stop Hobbies in Cedar Falls, Iowa. So what I've started here is I've taken a dowel, I don't know what it is, it's ½ inch, maybe 3/8, and just made a core, roughly about 4 inches. Then cut a whole bunch of the grapevine wire. You can see that grapevine wire does come in different colors. So this is sort of a straw color. Of course, when it's all done, it'll look like a tree and put the ground foam on it. But this is just the basics. So what I did is and you can see it right here, is I used Gorilla Glue, carpenter's glue, and put it on the dowel about 3/4 of the way up. Then I had tape down, and I had taped the tape and just cut a whole bunch of the grapevine wire and then rolled it over and then taped it up again really good. And I'll just let this dry. This will give me the base that I can build off of. You can see the core in many areas on here, and that's okay. That's not a big deal because I will continue to add additional grapevine wire to this. I will add in some that'll kind of come off that'll look like roots going into the ground. Some of these will spin off to make branches go in different directions. I will add more to the core to kind of bring it up a little bit, and again have some more stuff coming off. A lot of these that are here will be kind of coming off on the sides, and they'll be trimmed. By the time I get ready to put on the super tree material, I will have cut most of these down, but I'm going to get the shape done first, and the stuff that I cut will actually be used to build up the core of the tree, so it's not going to go to waste. So you'll see more once the glue sets, and this I will let set overnight before I go on and do anything else with this. But we're making a start. We'll just let that sit, and I'll come back and work on this a little bit more tomorrow. So early Sunday morning, and I've taken the painter's tape off, and I've got my basic shape in good shape. What I'm doing is I'm taking the strands now and starting to form major branches coming off. You can see what I do is I'll take clusters of the wire and then start to clip them down. So this is a 4-strand big limb, small, going up and going up and then going up. And then this one, I always try to pick a nice, solid, decent size wire, because this is where heat shrink tape is going to go over and the attachment point for the super tree material, or seafoam. So I've got this one in rough shape. This is going to be one here, a 3-strand, and then this one over here is going to be another 3-strand, and I'll trim this one up. And then I will come back in and start to use some of the pieces that are offcuts and fill in gaps on the trunk. And then I will also come in and add additional strands, more than what I've got down here, excuse me, to build up what will essentially become the crown of the tree. So there'll be some more branches coming off. There'll be some of these that will actually tie into the main branches that I'm building now, and come up a little bit farther and then terminate the same way. And then we'll have the top of the tree with the seafoam coming off of those. So all in all, it's coming in and it's starting to take shape. Again, these do not take that long to build. So a little farther along, I've got those clumps of what'll be major branches glued up. Again, ample amounts of carpenter glue. You can see that I did trim them back even a little bit more, because I want the leaves to start close to the trunk. And the first couple of trees that I built, I had it where the branches were way too long. So you actually want to cut them back kind of close, because the seafoam will spread and take care of the rest. So I've got nice grouping of branches. Those two long ones are going to tie into the center as I start to build up that piece of the trunk here next. You can also see I've added a couple of tap roots coming in on this. And we'll let that dry. You can see the core there, which you will be able to add a nail to stick it into position when you're using it. So anyway, I'm just going to let this dry, and then a little bit later I will come back and start adding more glue-ons, build up the trunk, a few more branches spreading out, and then I can start covering it in ground cover. So making progress. Sunday afternoon, moving on to the next steps. I've got the wrapper ties off of the branches. The glue is dried sufficiently well. You can see I came in with a nipper and just sort of etched or dug out a little bit of the dowel that's in here, again, so I can just kind of make it look a little bit more realistic, and it's easier to do the top part. Did the same over here where it's exposed. This part is going to be the core that's going to set down inside of it. So something not like that. Let's see if I can put it up right here. There we go. It's always hard to do one-handed when you're doing other things, so just prop it up there. So this will come in and sit in like that, inside, and I'll show you how it looks when it's done. I will use this piece sort of as a brace and glue it to the core that's here. This piece is going to be a limb, and I'll trim it to size after a while, but I'll get it glued up and show you what it looks like. All right, about 5 minutes later, and I have the basic glue up for the tree shape is done. I will let the glue all set on this and then take off all of the ties. And next step will be to probably use Mod Podge. It just paints on easier. And put the Mod Podge on it and then start the process of coating it with ground cover. It'll take a while, but the results will look pretty good. So we'll give it a little bit, let it sit, and then go on to that next step here. All right, glue is reasonably well set. I've got that one band at the bottom because I added that for like a little rootlet coming out. I'll leave that on for a little while longer, but everything else is firm enough that I can come in, and I'm going to start putting Mod Podge on it and the Woodland Scenics ground cover. Now I will leave about 3/4 of an inch on each of the branches unfinished for ground cover. That's where the heat shrink is going to go over and where I'll add my super tree material. So, but I can get the bulk of the tree going and see what I can do to cover it up and also still give it some texture. So you'll see some of this grain-like appearance, for the trunk. So it should look pretty good. Anyway, I will put the Mod Podge on and start sprinkling the ground foam, and then we'll see what it looks like. All right, starting to put the ground cover on. You can see I've got Mod Podge painted up until almost the bottom. And I will just sprinkle the ground cover on this. And when it starts to bleed through, I'll add a little bit more. And then I probably have to do a second coat after it dries to fill in any gaps. But it's pretty easy. You can already see it's starting to take the shape of a tree in color. All right, first coat of ground cover is on the complete tree. So we'll just let it all dry, and then I'll knock off loose and then see if I want to put some additional in some different areas. Yeah, tree looks good so far. As soon as it gets dry, I'll be able to start putting the heat shrink on. I will get out my super tree material and start to pick out some pieces that I want to put on this. That'll make it a nice tree, kind of bring the crown of the tree up probably another 4 or 5 inches above these, and go from there. Nice thing about this material is I can take a pin drill and I can drill in other places on the tree, and I can glue in super tree material. You might have to poke a couple of holes or go in at some different angles to avoid the metal wires, but you can get stuff in and you can super glue it to the trunk, so you don't have to rely on doing it this way that I'm doing. I do it this way so that I can get the big pieces on, and then I can come back in with smaller pieces and fill in where it looks like it needs some additional materials. The tree itself, when it sits on the layout, will probably sit something like this, this kind of an angle, or like that, or maybe like that, maybe like that. I don't know. We'll see when we get it built. Yeah, it's half the fun. They'll figure out where they want to put it once I get it to them here later on in the summer. All right, Sunday evening is coming to a close, and tree is taking shape. I definitely will have to add another coat, possibly even 3 in some areas, just to fill in more. I like the grooves, but not to this extent, so I'd put more on it. You can see I got a piece of heat shrink, and that's just sitting on as an example. I cut a bunch of them up to about 1 inch in length, and they'll go over the ends of the branches, limbs, however you want to look at it. You can see I did not glue on the ends of those. That way I can put the heat shrink on, and once I paint glue or Mod Podge on those to blend them in, they will be roughly the same size as the limbs already, so they should look pretty good. I did dig out my super tree material, and I have a fairly good sized box. I bought one of the large economy size boxes 2-3 years ago, and then I've got another smaller box that you can kind of see right over there. I've got enough for multiple layouts in the future yet, so I will come into here and I will take out excuse me, the seafoam sprigs that I want to use on the tree. I'll kind of trim them, keep all of the cuts and offcuts because I can use those on end scale projects later. What I will do is I'm going to get a spray bottle, and I'm going to spray the pieces that I choose with dilute white glue. I'll let them soak in because these are getting on the old side and not like totally dried out, but not crunchy, but getting close. So some dilute white glue sprayed on probably several times. Let it soak in and dry. Should make these pliable and definitely not going to go anywhere. The super tree material that I've used on these trees, that's been from like almost 2 years ago as well. And all of these did not use the dilute white glue method. I'm going to just do this because this tree is going to have to be shipped in a box. So I want to give it every possible chance of arriving in good shape. So we'll see how that turns out here after a while. So Monday night after work, and I have put the second coat. This time I used the Gorilla Carpenter's glue. Just the Mod Podge works, but it just seemed like it thinned out a little bit more. It soaked up, so I used the Gorilla Glue and then sprinkled the ground foam on. So you can see that I'm still getting texture, but it has filled in gaps and different things on this tree. So we'll let everything dry well, and then I can move on to the next steps with it. Right now I've got the heat shrink, again, just setting back on the branches, but you can see how the heat shrink tubing over the original branch gets the size up. So by the time I get glue and ground cover on that, once I get the super tree material on, that branch and limb ought to match up pretty good. It'll thicken up everything. You can see on this one, it'll blend in. It'll blend in a lot, and we won't see the seam on this. So I'll show you more as I get a little bit farther. So several weeks have passed since that last snip in this video. The tree is in pretty good shape, so the basic trunk I'm satisfied with. You can see I've got, haven't really gone too much farther, but it does have a wonderful texture using that grapevine wire and the methods that I'm using here. This will get painted once I get past the next step. And the next step is, once I get that tree up, there we go, to pick out my super tree material, which I have. You can see it's got white spots on it. So what I've done for this batch is I've taken dilute white glue, 50-50, same that I use for all of my scenery, put it in a spray bottle, and soaked these guys. These are the 7 branches that will go on the tree. The glue, I haven't done this in the past because they hold up really well. I've built super tree and used super tree material for a number of years, and it doesn't break. It's in good shape. I know that some old stuff does dry out, could be a problem. And this, since I'm shipping it to Caboose Stop Hobbies for use on the O-scale layout in the basement there, I wanted to make sure that my branches were as safe, I guess, as anything. So the glue will soak into it a bit. It doesn't need to do much, just to kind of get everything, a little bit more pliable is what the end result's going to be for this. So I will let all of this set, and then I can start attaching these to the tree. So that'll be the next one. Well, the tree has taken shape. So I have come back in and I've super glued in the heat shrink as well as the super tree material. This gives a decent bond. Next thing I'm going to come in is with wood glue, and I'll paint from where I left off here up a little ways past the heat shrink with carpenter's glue, and then I'll sprinkle on ground cover. That will actually help reinforce the joint because I'll have a good solid bond all the way around. Could still break, so these are not children's toys. You got to be kind of careful with it. Once I get that done, then I'll spray paint, and then I can do finish work. So this is getting pretty close. So not a whole lot left on it. Decent shaped tree, however the club's going to want to put it. And these, the armatures can be moved a little bit so that you can kind of get a little bit of a different shape, and I might do a little bending here and there as well once I get it a little farther. But let's see, get it put back in there in that little hole. Once the leaves are on it, it's painted. It's going to be a nice full tree that they can put however they want to put on the layout. So just painted the glue on one, and you can see how the transition, it's nice and smooth going into the super tree material. So I will do the rest of these, let the glue sit for a little while, and then it'll be take it outside and give it a quick coat of spray paint. And then I'll be able to finish this off probably today yet. It won't take too much longer. So it's going pretty good. So 5 minutes later from that last clip, and they're all done. So blended pretty well here. A decent shaped tree once I get it painted. And then flocked. Should be good to go. So I will let this set. Wood glue dries fast, dries hard. So I will let it sit for probably about an hour, and then I can go on to the next step of painting, and then let it sit for a little bit after that, and then I can get out my materials to give it some leaves. So we're getting close to having this one done. So painting is done, and it'll dry. You can see it's got some different colors and tones, and again the crown of the tree that'll be covered in green here shortly. So I used first I used this trim paint, which is flat black, bumper paint. It's good, you can do flat black, whatever. Did that first, give it a general coat, not a deep coat, but just kind of fill it in. Then came in with this camo brown and sprayed everything. Again, lightly to let the tree trunk details show, but I did spray the canopy a little bit more. Then I came in after everything and dusted it lightly with this charcoal gray. Again, just kind of give it some accents, show off some of the detail, which is kind of hard to see just the way the light is. But, you can kind of see, you get the camera to focus, which it's not going to. But anyway, it highlights some of this. So I will let the paint dry because I don't want the canopy materials, my flocking, getting stuck to the trunk. So I'll let that dry thoroughly for about an hour, and then I can come back in and do finish work. So it's almost done. All right, I am ready for the final step. So what I'll do, and again, doing this with one person and filming what I actually do is not that easy. So that's why I kind of set it up, get it done, and then show the end results. So what I'm going to do is just take this Max Hold hairspray, and this is perfect for this size of material. If you try to use larger clumps, wouldn't work. You'd probably have to go to like painting on Mod Podge or you know, an aerosol can of glue to maybe get that stuff to stick. But for fine turf, works perfect. So what I'll do is I'll take this and I will spray it from top down over my garbage can here, and then come back in and just sprinkle the fine turf on top. Not dump, not shake, but just sift so that I get a fine blend of it just settling onto the branches. I'll come back in, spray it again from side angles, give it a little bit more, spray it a little bit from the bottom, and give a little bit more from underneath. And that'll take care of it. So this next segment coming up here will have time-lapsed of just a few minutes, and we'll see a finished tree. All right, a few minutes later now, and we have a finished tree. So like any tree, including real ones, there will be different angles that a tree can be put that it looks better to the view. It's like I personally like this. You can spin it around a little bit more, be fuller on that side. Yeah, that one looks okay too. Probably if I would have done it again, I would have made this branch a little bit shorter and maybe curved it up ever so slightly more. But again, it just depends upon what viewing angle you want to plant the tree in. Also, if the club wants, you know, they can nip these down and cover them with ground cover. I just put them in really so that gave support to the tree so it didn't topple over. But now what I have to do is find a box to ship this. The tree itself is, let's see if I can get this stupid ruler set. I should have done this before. But the tree is a good foot tall. You can't really find them in the store ready-made. This did not really take me that long. Probably if I would put the time all together, it'd be 2 evenings, really, is what it would be. This is Sunday, and I've been out here a little while, doing a little bit. It doesn't take long to make a nice tree or make a signature tree for your layout. But anyway, I will get this packed up and get sent off to the O-Scale Rail Club in the basement of Caboose Shop Hobbies, Cedar Falls, Iowa. So with that, that's it. Take care and keep having fun on your layouts. Until next time.